when I was maybe like a sophomore, freshman, like coming up, my high school guy I looked up to was Pierce Clarkson. He's at Louisville right now.
Okay.
He played at St. John Bosco in Cali.
Gotcha.
Just a real smooth guy. I like the way he played, and he was just all around elusive with everything he did.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. I mean, that's a really sort of a very sharp answer, because I think that's realistic. I mean, sometimes you say to yourself, I want to be like Josh Allen.
Right.
But that game may not be the game that suits you.
Right.
Welcome to this week's edition of the 941 Sports Zone. I'm John Massoni, here with Monte Jacobs.
Hello, John.
Douglas Jeep, Uber sales manager.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, guy who's got so much going on, and he's charitable. He's with his time. He's helping us out. He's doing all kinds of stuff, and always ready for a text message or a help out anytime we can ask for it. And so we always appreciate him. We're going to get a few minutes with him tonight in regards to a very special day coming up here Thursday.
Absolutely.
Before we go to that, though, we're going to talk a little bit of a review about what we talked about last week. Mostly a little bit about what happened in the Open Championship a little bit, which was the golf tournament from Liverpool, England.
Absolutely.
And sort of a known guy, but not a guy who was, on everybody's radar. If you're a casual golfer, a golf fan, you probably don't know Brian Harman, but he's a very consistent player and a lefty, not a big guy, but he's always been a consistent player, a little streaky player, and he played 4 really fantastic rounds of golf to kind of run away with the Open Championship, which in a lot of people's minds, that is the preeminent championship in golf, because it sort of does encompass the old style links course play,
right. And
of course you're playing with a whole world audience and a whole world field as well. So I don't know if you got to watch that a little bit.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Brian Harman is he had to change his pants between rounds because he got a hole in one, so he had to change.
I got you. And then, but again, but a big victory for him, career changing for him. I'm sure it'll be something that he may never win another one, but that one's a big one to win for sure. But again, it was a little bit of a runaway. It wasn't really necessarily the drama you would expect from a major championship. The weather always plays a part in that one as well, where the last round was pretty much played in a steady, heavy rain, and they managed to get through it, and they played through it, and all the guys, they never complain about that.
Rain in England,
right?
Who knew?
Yeah, who knew that was going to happen,
right?
But they don't ever complain about it. I could see where maybe that was a regular PGA Tour event, they would have been saying, let's pull the plug on this, but they did not. And then a little bit about talked a little soccer last week, with Messi becoming a part of Inter Miami. I think that's and scored a goal. On a penalty kick to win a game.
The winner, yeah.
And really, I'll tell you what, I mean, the stadium is obviously the stadium, the DRV Pink or Drive Pink Stadium.
Yep.
For Inter Miami, and that's where we played the state championship game the last 2
yeah.
years. To see that place rocking, it was pretty intense. It was pretty cool, and a big debut for him. And then also the women's national team, which is obviously a big popular team that plays in the World Cup for the ladies. They won their first match against Vietnam 3-0, but there was a little bit of disappointment, I guess, a little bit down. They were supposed to beat them by 7 or 8 goals, and they got 3 and pretty much never was in doubt. But the procrastinators are giving them a little bit of a hard time because they didn't.
3 goals in a soccer game that's like a lot.
Hey, there was a sock in the first 11 minutes. A goal in the first I said sock.
A sock?
Sock. A goal in the first 11 minutes of the game. So that's usually gets everything started. But good start for them, and they'll kind of. It's a slow process. The first couple of matches they have to go, and they wait 5 days between each one of them. So it's about a month and a half worth of soccer. We'll have to watch and see how that all turns out. So yeah, both those topics were something we talked about last week, and they ended up being pretty good results as we could hope for. My prediction that Victor Hovland would win went a little south, but top 20 finish for him. I'll take that as a prediction. I need to stop trying to pick golf winners. I need to stop picking guys that are going to be in the top 20. I think that's more likely because golf is just a little too hard to pick the winner all the time. With that, we're going to talk right now to Monte about a big day here at Douglas Jeep this coming up Thursday the 27th, starting around 9:30 in the morning, where we're going to have a media day for the local high school football coaches and players to come down here to Douglas Jeep and kind of get an opportunity to speak to myself and or with John Reynolds from SNN.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're doing the podcasting style taping of the interviews right here at this desk and in this particular spot right here. Got 16 teams signed up already.
Yep.
From all 3 counties in the 941 area code.
Yep.
Monte, tell us what you hope to expect that down here at Douglas.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for all the hard work and everything everybody's done behind the scenes, and you do up here every week. It's great.
Appreciate that.
It is so exciting. I went to Mr. Douglas with the idea when you guys came to me about it, and he was just all about it. He's like, yes, this is awesome. A little preview from all the local teams, get all the schools involved, get the players here, get the coaches here, get everybody in one place so that they get the media exposure, because sometimes, they don't get their social media stuff like this, professionally produced thing like this. So it's a great opportunity for the coaches, for the schools, for the players, and especially for the dealership. I mean, us at Douglas, we love local football, local sports, as you know, and I am just beyond the moon excited. I can't wait.
Yeah. So again, it's going to be it'll be taped. And then we'll get it. We'll probably make an announcement somewhere on social media to let everybody know when those interviews will be out there. And when the coaches were approached, I would say 85% of the coaches that were approached were immediately on board, because they know it's an opportunity not only for their program to get exposure, but some of their athletes to get exposure as well. I mean, nowadays, you've got to be somewhat, as a player and as a coach especially, you've got to be somewhat used to the media. The media is going to, if you're the star quarterback, which we may be talking to, we have to talk a little bit later. They're going to put a microphone in your face, so they're going to be asking you questions about the game, and sometimes they're softball kind of questions, but nonetheless they're questions that you got to kind of be ready for and get a little used to it. So it's something I think that it benefits everybody across the board who gets to come to do this. It's really kind of a cool setting for them to sort of get their product and their players a little recognition.
Yeah, of course. And one thing I thought was it would be nice for people to get to put a face with some of the names, because the kids are out there in the field with their helmets on all the time. People don't see them; they're not going to know who they are. But to get to see the kids and talk to them and see what they're like, and the coaches off the sideline in a situation like this where they can kind of open up and have a conversation, and they're not worried about a first down or the last penalty. It's going to be really, really great.
Yeah. No. And then again, any of the players that ever have any aspirations to go into the next level, this is a major part of what they have to do.
Oh, of course.
I mean, it's a huge part of it. And again, for the programs, and if we're going to focus on that, there are programs on our list, and I know I'm just going to read a few of them off for you guys, but that don't necessarily, they're not going to be the headline a lot of times. Some of the schools in particular, you've got Braden Christian School, you've got Sarasota Christian School, Classical Academy of Sarasota. Some of those programs don't always get the notoriety that the Manatees and the Braden Rivers and the Venices and the Riverviews get. So they're going to get an opportunity to kind of talk about their program, what they got going on, and it's all good. I mean, it's all good for them to get out here and be allowed to, or be given the opportunity to talk about their program.
No, absolutely. It's not like those kids are out there and it's cooler for them to have practice. It's just as hot for them as it is for all these other guys, and they're working just as hard. So to get them out here in front of everybody else and get them to have some little exposure and the coaches in front of them, it's going to be great. And
the way we format it, obviously on YouTube with our stuff, it'll be great because, a lot of times grandparents are up north and they're not going to get a chance to see them play, and it's not that the school may not be live streaming games like some of the other schools do. So again, opportunity to see their school be put out there, and something they can reference and archive. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, that's going to be on the 27th here at Douglas Jeep. We're going to be taping everything, but then we will let everybody know on social media, if not on the next week's podcast as well, where to go find all that stuff, and your favorite team will hopefully be one of the ones that we get a chance to interview. Like I said, we've only had maybe two not making it teams, but that's they have that prior commitments and other things. So what's all right. We'll hopefully get them on here on a day when
still time.
Yeah, there's
Maybe.
still plenty of time to just have a regular podcast with them there as well. So any other thoughts, Tony? Or
Again, I just want to thank Francis and his crew, Vibrant Aspect Media. I mean, this whole thing has been fantastic. If you haven't watched the podcast or you don't catch it, you need to. It's worth it. It's fun to watch. It's professionally done. It looks great on YouTube, and it's been great for the store. The sloth back here,
yes,
he's gotten all kinds of notoriety,
and he moves.
Right, he does. He gets set for
Yeah.
this. I mean, he stages for the podcast, but folks come in to take pictures with him with their kids every day because they saw him online. It's great.
And it is true because somebody said, well, what was a sloth doing on the right side? I'm like, I don't know where the sloth's going to be. It's there. Sometimes I forget he's there, but I know he's sort of, when I watch the podcast, I'm waiting for him to, yawn or something along those lines. I don't want that to happen, but if I got a yawn out of the sloth, then I know I got to step up my game. So with that, thank you, Monty, again, for everything you do.
Absolutely.
Douglas Jeep. That's Monty Jacobs, our host for the 941 Sports Zone, each and every edition here on Vibrant Aspect Media YouTube page. With that, we're going to continue our local segment with our guest, Jayden Glasier. Jayden is the new Venice High School football quarterback, and this is his first opportunity to be with us. Hopefully, you'll be seeing a lot of him on our live streaming that we do for the games. Jayden, welcome to 941 Sports Zone.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming here. Just to get started, your journey starting football. Have you been playing the game since 4 years old, 6 years old, or where'd you pick up football?
I started when I was around 10.
Okay.
In South Tampa.
Okay.
I played for the South Tampa 49ers.
Gotcha.
I didn't start out playing quarterback. I started out just everything,
That's what I was going to ask you. Did they put you at quarterback to start with, or they have you playing the offensive line? Or
I played some O-line a little bit, yeah.
Well, it's good, though. As a quarterback, I think sometimes the experience of knowing the other positions, especially on the offensive side, can kind of help you and knowing where to go, what their role is in a lot of ways. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I feel the same way about that.
And as far as quarterback transitioning, when did you know that was going to be the position that you were going to sink your teeth into?
Starting around the next year, I kind of hit like a nice little growth spurt, and I started playing quarterback. Started to figure out I could really do something with this arm.
And that's another thing. So obviously football has evolved. High school football used to be where they ran it 60 times and they threw it 10, and then it's been sort of transitioning to the point now where depending on the game, I mean, you could throw the ball 50 times in a high school game, which you didn't see very often unless it was like an extreme situation. Obviously, you developed a strong throwing arm. We've seen you play in the spring game down in Naples. Did that just come naturally? Was this a lot of work, technique? How did you get that arm strength?
I started working out when I was about 12 years old at quarterback. I found like a little trainer to work out with.
Gotcha.
And just since then, I've just been going over his drills either by myself or with him and just getting to work.
Gotcha. Now, another thing, too, as far as quarterback position is concerned, you're getting thrown into a situation at Venice, obviously inside knowing what's going on, with an offense that runs very fast. The tempo is pretty quick. Knowing play calls and being able to know that language. Is it like a second language? Is it like learning another language altogether? And then, in this case, having to know it where it's being thrown at you every 10 seconds on a play.
Right. It's like learning a new sign language. Like you just getting the plays down, going real fast after getting tackled, getting up and looking at the sideline, getting plays. Right.
And like I said, that's been a big part of the last, I'd say 7 or 8 years of Venice, where the tempo has been picked up and has really sort of lent itself. And with that, I'll kind of lean into another part of what I'm going to ask you, is that you're now closing out the summer workout session.
Yes, sir.
A lot of that work you've done in the summer is going to be the reason why that tempo works. Was this a different, or was something you used to this kind of workout, or was it a little different for you guys with this one?
Definitely one of the hardest summer workouts I've ever been through. They definitely put me to the what's the word? They put me to the
ringer.
Yeah, through the ringer.
Yeah, no, and it's been sort of that way. I know that for sure. Coach Peacock likes to talk about getting you guys used to the sudden change situations and things that can come up really fast. And even within a workout, you're doing this and then so you're doing something else. I'm sure that's get your physical body ready to be quick, but the mental side, I'm sure as well. All of a sudden, you got to change your way of thinking and do something else.
Yeah, we're not allowed to actually bend over during like sprints. So we have to stand up tall and not let the defense know that we tired, and just so we can just keep playing mind games with them and just keep going.
And obviously in the game, and a lot of the games we see the benefit of that, because once you know the other guy is feeling it,
Right.
you sort of get
Pick
your
it up.
energy back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, okay, it's like and if it was an MMA fight or a boxing fight, when you land the blow and you see the guy's hurt, you're like, so you always see the
Right.
guy kind of come at him. And I think that's kind of how I think the same mentality applies to the tempo offense.
Yes, sir.
I will tell you this too. I obviously we talked about your arm a little bit, and you have some good webs to throw to. We'll talk about that as well. But physically, as far as an athlete, you are a very talented runner as well. Do you like that side of the making plays with your feet as well?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir. I like it.
Yeah, and I know that lends a lot to you. Obviously, having success moving around the pocket. I did notice you had sort of a natural. I'm sure you've worked on it, but you move well in the pocket. Is that something that you worked on, knowing not to just run immediately? Because I know, I mean, obviously you're an athlete. You know you can do some things athletically, but you want to stay in the pocket sometimes because you want to make sure that throw is going to get down to the guy who maybe breaks open a little late.
Right. Just making the play more active and stretching the play a little bit more just to see if someone pops open, and just being able to use your legs to do that is a big part of the game now. Watching Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts and them, it's just like modeling my game after them and stuff like that.
And that's a great model because you watch them do it, and everybody thinks like, well, they're going to run every time. They don't. They're moving, keeping their eyes downfield, looking for a play to open up. And when they have to run, they do. And it really a defense, you can freeze a guy just by your eyes and just making a pump fake, and then somebody can break open, or you can get an extra 10, 15 yards running the football. So I mean, nowadays I think what your skill set is really what is applied to both college and pro football. That type of athlete. Another thing I was going to ask you, Venice's O-line, I happen to know they're all returning. They all played last year. Kind of nice to have an O-line that's sort of there's no newbies there.
Yeah, they're all good kids too, and they love me, like not love me, but they like me, and just they treat me well and stuff like that and protect me.
Well, and that's good because that's sort of the bond that you get with you bond with the O-line a lot of times because you know what they're doing for you. You know what they're doing for the running backs, or know what they're doing with the play. They're invaluable, and sometimes they're obviously the most unsung players on the field. They don't get their name called, and I think sometimes recognition by the quarterback, especially, boosts the morale.
Yeah.
When the going gets tough.
We actually went to McDonald's the other day after practice with Coach Hunter, our offensive coach.
There you go.
Offensive line coach.
And that's team building right there.
Right.
That's a really cool thing. All right, so your journey here, you were played at South Plantation last year.
Yes, sir.
And you're here in Venice. Obviously, you've played against some really good talent. That's the Miami-Dade area in particular. How do you feel that playing against that level of talent down there is going to help you as far as the Venice schedule is concerned?
It'll definitely help me play against, like, because this year we have a good schedule as well, and we play good competition, so it won't be as much different from last year. Mm-hmm. Maybe we might be even playing a little bit better competition at Venice, and just making a farther stretch in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, because that's what happens. The playoffs, that's a whole nother season. Another half a season, actually, if you go right to the title game,
right.
five games. So yeah, it's good. But the opportunity to be a starter before and have that seasoning, and then coming into Venice and getting used to it. I mean, obviously the play calling is different, the vernacular is different, but the game is the game at some point in time. So having that sort of experience, it's got to bode well for you. You must feel comfortable coming into this year.
Right.
Well, that's good. Again, talk a little bit more about the schedule coming up. Early games this year for you: Cocoa on the road, Miami Northwestern on the road. Those will be two games I'm sure that you guys will be looking forward to getting to.
I'm really looking forward to going back down to Miami-Dade area and playing Miami Northwestern at Traspal.
Yeah, that's a very cool place. We've been down there at least 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And you can feel the energy in that building, and you can see all the legendary players that have been painted on the walls there and whatnot. It's really a nice field too. I mean, it's very well taken care of, and I'm sure that they'll be packing it out because that's the game. Those are the games that they circle on the schedule, even though they know they got to play other games district wise. Same with Venice as well, but they like those kind of games to see where they can kind of see where they're at. That's one of those games like where are we at here? We both know we're good.
Right.
So where do we line up, and how do we line up? So that's going to be a good one. And Coco obviously has been a perennial power. Really good team. Had a quarterback last year. He was phenomenal. But again, traveling to them, that's a 4-hour bus ride getting there, and it's going to be a long day. But that's a challenge for you guys, I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure Coach got you talking. Well, he's good about not getting too far ahead of himself.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's talking. Get ready for workouts, and he'll start talking about games when the time comes.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of coaches, obviously Coach Peacock calls plays for you guys, but talk about your offensive coaches, Coach Burton. He's one of the mainstays there as well. So any other coaches, Coach Hunter, you mentioned already too.
Coach Hunter, our offensive line coach, he's a great coach. He takes care of he gets on our own lines, our offensive linemen. He gets on them, and we have Coach Deuce. He works with like the receivers, quarterbacks, just the skill positions.
Right.
And then we have Coach Burton, who also calls the plays and helps out Coach Peacock.
Yeah, and Coach Burton, obviously, his time with the Gators was he's got a lot of things he can bring to the table, that nuances that maybe
Right.
He's been there, been down that road, been through the recruiting process, been through all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure he's probably somebody you look to. Maybe you could pick his brain a little bit when it comes to some of the things that you might be hearing and talking about, and all those kind of things.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
College football. Do you have a team that you like college football wise?
No, I don't. I don't really have a favorite.
Okay, just a fan of the sport, I'm
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Do you watch just the best game on TV? Or
Yeah, usually the best games, best ranked teams going
Good.
against each other usually.
Yeah, that's good. I will tell you this. I'm an SEC guy. I'm a Gator guy, so I've been for years. But no, it's good because I'm also a huge college football fan. I think that college football. I mean, I love pro football, but there's something about college football. Just the level of excitement, even the stadium sizes. People. I mean, I have relatives from the New York area where college football doesn't really pop the same as it does in the South, and they'll say, "Oh, that looks like a pretty big stadium. How many people get there?" I'm like, "Well, 95,000." Like 95,000, they only have so many in the Meadowlands, and so many. That's not even as much. I'm like, no, and they're sold out for the most part. Ohio State 100 and something thousand. You got Michigan 100 and something thousand, and they're just always there's a big surprise by some people who don't know the how feverish the fan base is in some of these places. Obviously, you're looking forward to playing at the next level. I would assume.
Yes, sir.
You're looking forward to that kind of Saturday atmosphere.
Yes, sir.
Any visits so far? Have you talked to anybody, or enough that I want to get into?
I'm actually committed to Central Michigan right now.
Okay. Good. That's I want to make sure that was clarified. That's good. No, good program. A little cold,
Right.
but it's
Can get used to it. Yeah.
You get used to it. There's no doubt about it.
Got to dress appropriately.
Yes, and it's funny because we have these back and forth about what's worse, the heat or the cold. I think it just comes down to a mentality.
Right.
It's going to be if you deal with the elements no matter what they are. I'm sure it's going to be. I would probably say it's, my opinion, it's probably a little easier. Again, I could be wrong, but a little easier to adjust to the cold.
Yeah.
Than the other way. You know what I mean? And you got because sometimes because the heat just wears you out.
I'd rather be in the cold than the heat.
Yeah.
Like if you go back to my house, my room is freezing cold.
See,
I gotta sleep in the cold.
Yeah, so I think that's a lot to do with that. But I think I think when you see teams, pro teams, whatever, and they come down and it's over 100 heat index or whatever, it's very hard to play in. Where I think sometimes if you can just layer up, keep yourself warm, get those hands warm, I think you'll be just fine. So that's a good thing. So Central Michigan, and that's the MAC, and that's what a conference history of that conference. If you get more in depth into it. A lot of great coaches, a lot of great players came out of that conference, and it's probably the only conference that stayed the same
for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean now
Coach
you've got
McElwain is bringing it back.
Yep, and you got all that staying the same, but you look at the Pac-12 losing 2 teams, the Big 12 losing 2 teams. They're adding players and adding teams, so a lot of shuffling around. But the MAC has been a consistent program, and they do a great job. I don't know if you've watched it at all, but they do in the midst of their regular season. They got games on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. So a lot of exposure for the players, which is really a cool idea. I mean, they thought outside the box with that, and it worked out really well for them.
Yes, sir.
So I talked about your offensive coaches. Tell me about some of the defensive guys. You probably get to know them a little bit. I'm sure they're yelling at you and probably getting in your head a little bit. I know one guy likes to yell a lot at practice. Probably
Coach Shannon.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah.
Coach Shannon, Coach Wideline, Coach Hire. Coach Hire coaches the D lineman.
Yep.
And
Coach Jones is part of that, so that's
right,
staff
Coach
as
Jones
well.
too.
Yep.
Coach Shannon coaches the DBs.
Yep.
Coach Wyline coaches the linebackers.
And Coach Hatler as well too.
Yes,
He's
sir.
out there as well. But no, it's great because even though it's one cohesive team, I know during practice they can draw a line in the sand.
Yeah.
It's defense versus offense, and those defensive guys like to get. It's got to help a little bit.
Right.
You know, your practices, I'm sure, are really getting you, especially in the summer, are going to get you sharper and sharper because you've got some guys on the defensive side of the ball that are going to be pretty impressive and pretty hard to go against.
Yes, sir.
And again, offensively as well, 2 returning running backs for you guys, and then also a couple of returning receivers and some new guys as well. But a lot of players that have been there and have a lot of experience playing for you, playing for Venice, I
Right.
should say. Yeah. Alvin Johnson, Gator Wilder, the 2 running backs. Obviously, you got to get used to their styles as well.
Right.
The nuance of a handoff. You know, is each guy a little different with the handoff?
Gator's a little bit shorter, but
Right.
besides that, it's basically the
Same
same
thing.
Yeah.
Because some guys I know, we've seen things where guys are different with how they position
Yeah.
their hands, a little higher, a little lower, whatever it may be. So yeah, I imagine you've got to get used to, I guess you got to remember who's there, or do you just say, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I better get a little higher, a little lower.
No, it doesn't really affect me at the time, but
Yeah,
just-
well, it's just natural after a
Yeah.
while. Yeah, you get enough repetitions than anything, you get pretty good with that.
right.
From high school through to college to pro, what quarterbacks have you sort of looked up to or modeled yourself after a little bit? Guys you want to play? Like I know you mentioned Mahomes before, but anybody else along the way who you can look at and say, hey, that's the guy I'd like to see myself be like?
When I was maybe like a sophomore, freshman, like coming up, my high school guy I looked up to was Pierce Clarkson. He's at Louisville right now.
Okay.
He played at St. John Bosco in Cali.
Gotcha.
Just a real smooth guy. I liked the way he played, and he was just all around elusive with everything he did.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. I mean, that's a really sort of a very sharp answer, because I think that's realistic. I mean, sometimes you say to yourself, I want to be like Josh Allen.
Right.
But that game may not be the game that suits you.
Right.
Or suits your eye. And with that, obviously, you take that sort of model. How do you apply it? I mean, do you apply it to yourself? You're looking at physical things they're doing, or are you just watching the game overall in general? I mean, what are you looking at?
Just like the way, like he was like he made plays. He was just a playmaker, and he just made a lot of plays. Like when I went up to Louisville, actually I seen him when I went on a visit there, and I didn't want to be like a fan to him, so I kind of just said like what's up to him, and we kept it like as if we were just normal people. But
Right.
I look up to him as like the way he throws the ball, real smooth. He's kind of like a Bryce Young type quarterback.
Gotcha.
Right, just real smooth.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good idea, because you want to be like under control.
Right.
And that's what the smoothness comes with. Like I like most guys over 50, I play golf, and when you're smooth and you're under control, that's when you play. That translates to every part of the game. And for you as well, if you're smooth and under control, when you're running, or you're looking for downfield, you're always sort of got that. You've at the quarterback position, it's a lot to do. That's underrated in a lot of ways, is that you are the one who sort of is keeping the temperament of the team, the huddle. Then people look to you, and if you're panicked, by God, the other 10 guys might get panicked. You know what I mean? They look in your eyes and they're like, "Uh-oh, what?
Right.
Where's that guy that
Right.
we're waiting for?" And then of course, obviously, being a playmaker, whatever that may be, you say, "Hey, whatever it takes." That's also what translates to the other guys as well. I mean, that's a really good thing. So I like that answer. It's a good answer for sure.
Thank you.
With that, we'll take our next break of the night, and we'll talk a little bit about some other sports. We'll talk a little high school stuff with you. We're going to talk maybe some baseball and maybe a little pro football as well with you with that. So with that, we'll take a short break here and come back and do our state and national segments with Jayden Glasier. See you here shortly.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
before I forget to thank Douglas Jeep again, thank you, Douglas Jeep, for having us here for the 941 Sports Zone. And again, looking forward to Thursday here at the dealership for the media day with the local teams from both Charlotte, Manatee, and Sarasota County coming by to do some interviews and talk a little about their season as well. So it's a good opportunity, and we're happy to have Jayden Glasier here with us tonight, talk about his football season a little bit. But before we do that again, Tampa Bay Rays baseball. Baseball guy? A little bit of baseball? Or
I grew up playing baseball.
Okay.
But I haven't really followed the Rays until when they lost the trifecta in Tampa.
Gotcha.
When the Lightning won and the Bucks won, and then the Rays didn't finish.
Yeah, and that was the one that was the controversial one with the manager pulling the pitcher and the
Right.
whole deal. Yeah, so no doubt about that. Well, this year they came out of the gate so hot, 13-0. It looked like it was just going to be a layup for them to win the division, even though the division is the toughest in baseball. But right now, as we've been talking about it for the last 15 weeks, Francis, or so, they were ahead, and playing again. And the team behind them wasn't what you would think, the Yankees or the Red Sox, those big market teams. It was the Baltimore Orioles who were playing phenomenally, keeping on their heels. And this past week, the Orioles came in Tampa and took 3 out of 4 from the Rays. And went ahead 2 games over the Rays. So now they are the best team in the American League, and the Rays are now looking at a wild card opportunity. In that situation, I'll ask you, it's just a sports question about that. You get a big lead, whatever. You'll say up 21-0 first quarter, and then all of a sudden it's middle of third quarter, and it's 24-21, and you're losing. There's got to be a point there's got to be either you get totally taken under the undertow, or do you respond? I guess is there a way you would think that you would respond to that? You have to just kind of, you being a leader, especially on the team. Right. How would you respond to something like that if you kind of had the big lead and all of a sudden just evaporated on you?
I would tell our guys to lock in, to overcome adversity, and just you got to push through and finish.
And that's where they talked about that smoothness and that
Right.
look in your eye. They can see it. They'll know exactly what you're talking about. And so hopefully Kevin Cash, the manager of the Rays, is doing just that, telling those guys, hey, adversity, this is going to happen. It's a 162 game season. It's a long season, and you're going to have some ups and downs. And you were 13-0, and you were riding a wave, and now you're going through the worst month the Rays have had in probably 10 years, and you've put yourself in second place. But I think the way the team is built, they can use a player or two here and there. But the way the team is built and the way they played early on, it wasn't one guy or one person. Everybody was taking turns sort of being the guy. And I think that you look at everybody and say, hey, it's not a one-man operation, just like with a football team.
Right.
Quarterback gets a lot of notoriety, but he can't do without the other guys. Obviously, you can throw the best ball, but the guy doesn't catch it, play doesn't work. So I think somehow the Rays I think they'll find a way. Although the Orioles, they'll probably going to hit their, tough patch.
Yeah.
Everybody does. You're always going to find a little adversity, like you said, adversity being a great word there, and they'll figure it out. So the Rays are back in second place, and we'll keep an eye on them for the rest of the year and heading into the dog days at the ends of summer here and then to September where they really starts to count. Also, we're going to segue right now to national stuff as well. Preseason or summer camp. We talked about your summer camp. NFL has summer camp. Football is now 12 months a year. I'm sure that you're working out, you're throwing all the time. I'm guessing. Am I right about that?
You're right.
And NFL's the same way. So, you're conditioned right now. You're going to go through the 15 practices or whatever they're going to have for summer camp. NFL's kind of doing the same thing. I'll ask you. If they asked you to play a game tomorrow, would you be ready?
In the NFL?
No.
Oh.
High school. They say, hey, we're not going to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think that's what the pros have turned into. So my point is they go to OTAs, which are the practices during May, and they have these little 3-day or 4-day practices, and they keep themselves fresh. Players in the old days used to come in there fat and not ready to play, and took 6 weeks to get themselves in condition, and they had to get there. They played 6 preseason games, which is insane. Now these guys come in ready to play.
Right.
And so but you see the similarities. It's happening in the pros. College and high school have the mandatory hiatus from football activity, from point A to point B, where the coaches are not with you guys and the capacity of a certain way. but you are ready to play. Where in the past I said you wouldn't be. You would again. A lot of guys in the old days, and talking really old days,
like Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
when he was out eating pancakes and
that's it,
doing whatever he wanted.
They didn't know, that's the whole idea about these. What the preseason camps were all about was to get them from being off the end of the bar, so to speak, and playing some sports. So I think it's going to be interesting. But Tampa Bay Buccaneers being the local team, obviously you're a quarterback. Tom Brady, I don't know if you have a guy that you think was the best, or you have any rating, but obviously people call Brady the GOAT.
Right.
Replacing Tom Brady, would you want to be the guy to do that, or would you want? You'd probably take the challenge on.
Right.
But if you had a choice, would you want to follow Tom Brady, or would you want to wait one or two after he hung it up?
I'd probably take the challenge.
Good.
Just to see if I could fit the spot.
Yeah. So two guys are trying that right now: Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, a former Gator guy, and obviously Baker Mayfield, a number 1 overall draft pick a few years back with the Cleveland Browns, and he didn't do bad when he played, just wasn't living up to that high expectation. And of course, nowadays the economics of football, especially in the pros, is you get to a certain point, and now it's the payday. You have a rookie contract, and the next contract, if you're that guy, especially quarterback, you go from making, which is a lot of money, like $18 million or whatever it would be, to making $40 million, and a total financial commitment to that guy. And the Browns decided no, they didn't do it. They walked away from him last year. Now it lands in the Buccaneers, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out. Taking on that challenge, like you said you would it be trying to live up to somebody else's expectations? Do you think that would be the problem, or is it just getting used to the new team? What would be the biggest issue you think you'd see going into that?
Well, I know Baker Mayfield's brand new, so he'd probably have a bigger struggle with getting to know the team more and stuff like that, and just knowing the coaches and the plays and stuff like that. But I know Kyle Trask has been there a couple of years now, and he's kind of been sitting in the shadows, and I would like to see him get a chance to shine, because he did have a great senior year at Florida.
Oh yeah.
And I just think that they both have different challenges going into the season.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And like I said, I think Mayfield's got a sort of, people watch football. Other football players are watching. They know what's going on,
right?
And they've seen him sort of have his struggles. So he's got to prove himself a little bit. Trask has been there. They know him, but they have to see him rise up to the occasion. He probably wasn't going to get much of an opportunity with Tom Brady there.
Right.
And Blaine Gabbert being the backup, whose guy was around for a long time, he probably didn't want – they didn't want to put Trask in that situation. If Brady was down for a few games, Gabbert could fill in for 2, and Trask would be the backup to him. So now I think that you're right. Trask is the guy who should get at least a hard look in the preseason.
Right. Yeah.
He's got to, because he did. When he played at Florida, it wasn't like he was a guy running around making plays. He was a guy who could make plays with his arm and his accuracy.
Right.
So I think that's going to be a big part of what they do. Would you like being thrown to Mike Evans and
Chris Godwin? Yes. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, because those guys, and they got Russell Gage in the slot. There's a pretty good guy from Atlanta they got last year. But Evans as well. Tall, fast, a guy who can really get off the ball. That's when you got a guy with that kind of athleticism, you can kind of put it up there, and you're probably going to get it.
Right.
You like that kind of that kind of a guy. Also with the Buccaneers, I say a couple things that they had to fill in. Their secondary is a little weak, and nowadays, anywhere. High school, college, pro, the passing game is such a big deal. Defensively, you've got to have at least 1 or 2 guys back there who shut it down somewhat.
Right.
I'm going to ask you before, if you play defense, what position would you want to play?
I'd probably play now I'd probably play safety.
Okay.
Now I'd probably play linebacker. But last year it was we were actually our game before a playoff game, and we were actually struggling on the defensive side, and our coach almost put me in at safety.
Okay.
But it never happens.
That would have been, in a game, you get in there, it'd be fun, to finally put it on somebody else instead of you getting hit all the time, no doubt. Yeah, but Buccaneers, they're pretty solid linebacker, but secondary they got to figure it out, and they're playing in a somewhat weak division, so they're not predicted to do very well. But I wouldn't be surprised because it's never the same in that division with New Orleans and then Carolina and what am I forgetting? New Orleans and Atlanta. So those 4 teams, they're all matter of fact they're all coming in this year. First time I think in how long, all 4 teams are coming in with new quarterbacks. So that's unprecedented because nowadays, you know what it is. The quarterback position is usually pretty steady.
Right.
Pretty steady. So that's definitely something that is an anomaly. Also, first preseason game for the Buccaneers, August 11th against the Steelers. Do you watch any preseason football?
A little bit. When I used to do fantasy, I used to, but
okay.
No, not no more.
Watching
right.
see who's going to be doing well, and got to find that sleeper guy that nobody knows about. Yeah, I know about that. There's no doubt about that. I was going to say, fantasy football is a huge deal, though. I mean, everybody's got their own little leagues and stuff like that. But if I find a lot of times it's sometimes it can become a little more time consuming than you want it to be.
Yeah.
Because you're doing all the stuff and then you got to watch all the games.
Yep.
NFL team. I asked you about college. NFL team you follow at all?
I like watching the Bills and the Chiefs play, and also the Chargers.
Okay.
Just because they're like a gunslinging team.
Yeah.
Right. I love watching them play. They always have good games.
Herbert is one of the guys he's not underrated, but I think he's the guy who could be a real breakout guy. Him and Trevor Lawrence seem to be the guys that are kind of trying to poke their nose into that top 3 kind of deal because they've definitely got Herbert. I watched him at Oregon and looked like I saw him throw, but I didn't think he was as talented a passer until he got to the pros. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
This guy can really sling it, man. He can really sling it. So Chargers they're always on the cusp. They're always close, but we'll see. But no, I agree with you. If Mahomes is on, TV, it's kind of hard for not to watch him because he just does some things. And I know a little bit of that. I don't think he plans certain things, but some of the throws and the arm angles. Have you ever tried to work on that at all?
No, okay. I don't. It just got to come natural at that point. I didn't mean to hit the mic.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about that.
It's just got to come natural at that point. You could practice it in games and just situations, but
I think a little bit of that though. His dad was a baseball player.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's not maybe he played a little baseball when you're flipping a ball a little underhanded or doing some stuff but to create windows to throw through. I mean, that's extraordinary. Some of the stuff that he does where he can kind of turn it sideways and fit it through 2 guys' armpits or whatever. That's very interesting. No doubt about that. All right, Jayden, I think that's going to be a wrap for us tonight for you and I. I want to thank you for being here. I know I put you in a tough spot, but you came here and you did a great job. Looking forward to seeing you play and flourishing with Venice. And enjoy your time, man. It's a great. I tell everybody. I tell all the kids all the time if they ask me or whatever, they talk to me. Enjoy high school. It's fantastic. You make your best friends in your life a lot of times in this situation. You're going to get to see a lot of people who are all rooting for you all the time. Nobody's going to be complaining about anything. When you get to the next level, there's going to be different fan bases, but this is where it's still really cool and fun, and just enjoy the heck out of this. So with that, like I said, thank you, Jayden, for coming, and we will see you maybe on Thursday, but for sure during football season.
Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem, man. Thank you. That was Jayden Glasier, football player, quarterback, Venice football, and we're looking forward to seeing him play all year for the Venice Indians. With that, we'll take a final break, come back and have me go through what's bugging me. Are you ready for that? Or what's bugging me? And maybe a prediction or two. I'll see how it goes when we come back here at the 941 Sports Zone and Douglas Jeep. See you soon.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on the new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in the new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
And welcome back to the 941 Sports Zone. And we're here at Douglas Jeep as usual. Again, thank you to Monte Jacobs and his crew. And thank you to Jayden Glasier. That was a pretty good interview. I mean, for you guys out there, young man, 17 years old, kind of put on a podcast with a guy he just met that did a really nice job. And I can tell you that he's going to, if that's how he's going to perform for Venice Indians, is going to have a great year with him. And he's a good young man. With that, we are now talking about What's Bugging Me and the Truly Nolan What's Bugging Me segment. Thank you to Truly Nolan for sponsoring our What's Bugging Me segment. We do appreciate that. And for all your pest control needs, go see Truly Nolan. With that, everybody we kind of figure out ahead of time, like, what's bugging us. I'll ask Coach Peacock or John Reynolds, and at times like, I don't know, this is kind of bugging me, and then this will bug me. Usually sports related, but I'm gonna tell everybody something right now. I said, what's bugging me when I was rolling in here is everything is bugging me right now. It is the middle of summer, and I walk into certain places, certain establishments, sit down, order a drink, iced tea, whatever it may be, and I ask for a full glass of ice on my iced tea. And for some reason, I can't get a full glass of ice. It bugs me. It's bugging me more now than it ever did. Okay? I go to the store, and I go to this one same store all the time. New guy's in there, and he's in there, and I tell him exactly how to pull my account up and how to get things all done. And then when he doesn't push the button right, he tells me how I didn't give him the right response, and I'm telling him how to do his job. That bugs me. That guy wants to blame me because he doesn't know his job, and I told him how to do his job. It bugs me right now. I go other places. I went to another establishment where we had an 8-top for people. 8-top. It's kind of hard to do an 8-top. I get all that, but we had an 8-top where we're just going to have some drinks and some appetizers or whatever. And when somebody moved on the table to go sit next to somebody else, the person ran away and refused to serve us anymore because we moved because it upset his way of doing things. That bugged me. It still bugs me. That's why I'm talking about it right now. And I thought to myself, as I was coming here tonight, my God, is everything bugging you? And I'm like, it is. Everything is bugging me. Every person, every slow driver on 41, every traffic jam on the way to Orlando last week that took me 4 hours to get there because somebody at the highway patrol decided they were going to leave an abandoned trunk in the middle lane of I-4 and couldn't pull it over to the side and caused a 2-hour traffic jam. That really bugged me. So I'm going to tell you what, I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. I'm like, what's the problem? Why are you so upset? And it came to me. I need football. I need it now. I can't wait one more week for it because you know what? When that traffic jam on I-4 sucks and I feel crappy about it, I think, you know what? I'm going to watch a little football on Saturday or go to a high school game on Friday or whatever it may be. And you know what? It takes the edge off. I feel better. I like football that much that I need to have it right now because if I don't get it soon, I'm about to go crazy. I don't want to say I'm a guy who's going to go postal, but I will tell you what, I need some football. I need it quick. And I think that will calm me down a little bit. So everything's bugging me right now. Hopefully I got it off my chest and in full view of all of our 941 Sports Zone fans. But I do need football quick because it definitely takes the edge off, and it'll coast me right into next year, actually. So that'll be a very good thing. And I know that next week, coming up soon, we'll have preseason matchups and everything else. So it's getting there, but I need to have it quickly because it's starting to drive me crazy. I don't want to be freaking out about the amount of ice cubes in my drink anymore. I want to be feeling good about it and not caring and loving some sports and loving some football in particular. So come on, football, get here quick. I need it. I need it quick. With that, predictions. I thought about this and I said, well, what can I predict? What do I know? I mean, I tried the golf last week with Victor Hovland, didn't work. I've tried a few other things. I've kind of been on the short end of the stick on some of my predictions. Started off hot, and now I'm kind of been down to earth. Let's just say pretty much down to earth. And I said, well, what can I? Do I take the easy route, or do I decide to do I make no predictions this week and just say forget about it and take a break from it? I'm like, well, you know what? You can't just quit on it. You got to give it a shot. You got to figure out what it is you think is going to be, a prediction that's going to have a little something, a little bite to it, or whatever it may be. So I'm going to do a prediction, and it has to do with one of my favorite teams, or maybe my favorite team. Okay, it's the New York Jets, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to take a little while to predict it, but I'm going to say this right now. New York Jets make the playoffs this year and go all the way to the AFC Championship game. So New York Jets, I know everybody's out there. I got all these Dolphin fans staring at me. Got a Dolphin fan right here. Dolphins are going to be good, Francis. Don't worry about it. We will talk Dolphins at some point in time. But I think the Jets are going to be very competitive. I think they're going to have a great year. I think Aaron Rodgers is a big difference maker in the playoffs to the AFC Championship. I will not predict anything further than that. I think that's just probably as much as I could expect, but I think they're going to get there. And if that is the case, nothing will bug me at that point for sure. With that, thank you guys for being here. Again, watching the 941 Sports Zone with me and Jayden Glasier tonight and Monte Jacobs tonight. Thank them both. They didn't bug me. They pulled through. They came through like champions, and neither did Francis and Josh from Vibrant Aspect Media. They didn't bug me either. But with that, we thank you guys again for watching. And we'll see you here from Douglas Jeep next time on the 941 Sports Zone. I'm John Massoni. Have a good week. See you soon.